Now on another subject. Later today, on marijuana. Later today, I will join my colleagues, Senators Booker and Wyden, to release draft legislation to reform the federal marijuana laws, principally to end the prohibition on marijuana at the federal level for the first time in several generations. Over the past decade, Americans' attitudes towards marijuana have undergone a dramatic transformation. Listen to this. Nearly 70% of Americans support legalizing adult use of marijuana. 70. 18 states plus D.C. have passed laws on adult use of marijuana. 37 states in D.C. have legalized marijuana for medical use. The states are supposed to be our laboratory for democracy, and by all accounts, these experiments have been a success. The doom and gloom of predictions of the naysayers, oh, crime will go way up, drug use will go way up, have never materialized. I note that a state like South Dakota had it on its ballot in the last election, and that conservative state, the majority of people voted in the same direction that we're talking about here. For decades, young men and young women, disproportionately young Black and Hispanic men and women, have been arrested and jailed for even carrying a small amount of marijuana in their pocket, a charge that often came with exorbitant penalties and a serious criminal record because of the overcriminalization of marijuana, and it followed them for the remainder of their lives. It makes no sense, and it's time for change. Now is the time for Congress to engage in this debate, update our federal laws to not only reflect popular wisdom, but science. Marijuana, amazingly, in this 21st century, is still treated by federal law with the same hostility as heroin, despite it being far, far less dangerous. So I greatly look forward to releasing this draft legislation with my colleagues, Senators Wyden and Booker, today. We'll speak about how our bill will address the issues relating to updating our federal marijuana laws, not just ending the federal prohibition, but how it will ensure restorative justice, protect public health, and implement responsible taxes and regulations. And a final matter, Myrna Perez. In a moment, I'm excited to head over to the Judiciary Committee to introduce an outstanding nominee for one of the most important courts in the country, the Second Circuit Court of Appeals in New York. And the person I'll introduce is Myrna Perez, one of the foremost election lawyers in the country. The daughter of Mexican immigrants, Myrna graduated from Yale, Harvard, Columbia Law School, before joining the Brennan Center for Justice as a voting rights and election litigator. The federal bench has long been occupied by former prosecutors and corporate lawyers. It's about time that civil rights attorneys, federal defenders, and voting rights experts, like Myrna Perez, one of the foremost voting rights experts in the country, join the ranks, especially now when our democracy is in peril in many ways. It's crucial we elevate someone like Ms. Perez to the bench, someone we can trust to faithfully and equally apply the law of our great democracy. I was proud to recommend her to President Biden, and I look forward to formally introducing her to the committee today. When I met her, as I did to interview the candidates, she knocked my socks off with her brilliance, her persistence, and her strong and wonderful personality. I yield the floor.